Hi, this is Cherie with Rehashfiber. Join me for another exciting day in Phoenix when we explore Woolhalla Tunis. When I was preparing for the trip and reading through Tempe Yarn and Fiber's website, I came across Woolhalla Tunis. I was intrigued. I'd never heard those words before, and I learned Tunis is a type of sheep. So I went right over to their website to learn more, and I was very intrigued. Woolhalla Tunis does something very wonderful for farmers and their sheep, and they also make it very fun for the person that buys the wool. So join me when we go out to the farm, called the Farm at the End of the Road, and meet Sonja Pine and learn all about the business.
How it all got started, wow. It all got started about 12 years ago when our daughter and her family bought the house next door, or bought the property next door to build a house. And then we just watched them and how much fun they were having. And this had been a spec lot. This whole area had just been a speculative venture. And then we had a chance in the economic downturn to buy the property at a price that was a reasonable price instead of an unreasonable price. And so we did that, and then the first thing we did was to plant trees, get water here and plant trees. And then we started putting animals on it at that point because our daughter and her family, her kids, could watch the animals and take care of them. So we were still living in Glendale. It's about an hour and 40 minutes from here. And because of the downturn, we couldn't sell the house there for enough to build a house here. And so we had to wait until we could do that. And it was just about 5 years ago that we built the house and moved out here. And we decided that we absolutely wanted a conservation breed sheep. And we wanted something that was docile enough for children to feel safe and secure around. And I researched for probably a year before we chose Tunis, and I've never looked back. It's a perfect breed. Small farm, big farm, heat, cold. Tunis will do everything. They're a triple purpose breed. They're fleece and meat and milk, and I've sold lambs for all three purposes, and nobody has ever been dissatisfied with the breed. It's great. Whenever we would buy a lamb, we'd buy for fleece genetics. When we were going to get Tunis, I didn't realize how complicated it would be. There were basically no Tunis in the West at that point, none. And so a group of us got together with a farmer, a shepherd, a rancher in Moab, Utah, and we all combined our resources and bought enough sheep from a man in Iowa that he would truck them to Moab. And then we all went to Moab and picked up our respective sheep, and then went to our different homes. And for probably 6 years after that, we would do this mega sheep run in the fall so that everybody got new genetics into their flocks. And it turned out to be probably about 3,000 miles in the fall that we would arrange. And some sheep would go as far north as the Canadian border, and some sheep would go as far south as the Mexican border. Some went to California, some went to Nevada, some went to Idaho, or went to Wyoming, some went to Colorado. We just kind of kept mixing things up until we all had flocks that we were satisfied with the genetics of it. 5 ewes and 1 ram, and we have learned that for our small farm the carrying capacity is probably about 17 ewes and 1 ram. But what you have to remember is that Tunis twin more often than give single birth. So if we have 17 ewes giving birth, we have a potential of 45 to 50 sheep on our place. So it's 17 in some ways doesn't sound like a lot, except for about 6 months of the year it's really a lot. We discovered that lots of people had between 1 and 10 sheep. And so at that point, they don't want to develop a market. There's no reason for them to develop a market for the fleeces. And the fleeces are actually more an impediment to them because they have to pay to be sheared and then they have to pay to dispose of the fleece. And so we decided that what we would do is create a niche where if I visit a farm and I like the farm and I like how they treat their animals, then I will offer to pay for the shearing and certain other animal-related expenses and then take the fleece in the spring. And that way it allows us to be able to offer all kinds of different breeds from the immediate regional area where you are, by buying the fleeces, you're supporting the small farm. Are sexually mature very early, and so you can have rams capable of breeding by the time they're 4.5 to 5 months old. So they get separated out way early from their moms, and then these guys were born last April, and then we used them both as rams this year, and that's why we know that one of the ewes is pregnant, is that we ultrasounded with our vet to be sure that they had done their job. Characteristics are all different. This guy has lots of lanolin and it shows up as dirty in the fleece, or it shows up as looking dirty. It's just really lanolin that wash right out. But he has much less lanolin, and so it doesn't show up so much. He's a cleaner looking animal. Have to be housed separately, so we have to devote this much space to housing 2 animals, or 1 animal, whereas with the ewes they can just kind of wander around. But because we want to control the breeding so that we know when lambs are going to be born, and so we know who's bred who, then they have to be isolated. I had mentioned that lambs are sexually mature by 4 to 4.5 months, and so the ram lambs have to be separated out at that point, or it's possible that they'll breed somebody that they really ought not to. And then 2 here, and during the summer when we have grass, then we rotate the flock among the 3 sections, and that way nothing gets overused, and they always have fresh grass to eat. They don't eat it right down to the nubbins, so that nothing grows. The reason we have chickens isn't even actually for the eggs. It's because they help maintain the pasture, and they will go through and eat scorpions and fly larvae and all sorts of awful things, and then they also help break up the sheep dung so that it will decompose faster. So the eggs for us are just kind of a side benefit. The job of the chickens is really something else. juice out the oranges, and then we freeze the juice and have juice. We have fresh orange juice year round. But then to dispose of the rinds, we feed them to the sheep, who think they are the most wonderful thing ever. And the orange rind acts as a natural wormer for them, so then we don't have to give them chemical wormer to control parasites. You want to take an orange with you? The breed is Tarraco, and it is sometimes called a blood orange or a ruby orange.
After the tour of the farm, Sonja and I went into her shop, and she had bins and bins full of the wool from what she had mentioned about how they help the small farmers and use the wool from their small flocks. And the really fun thing that they do is fleece with a face. So if you watched a couple episodes back when we were at Tempe Yarn and Fiber, Amanda explained it there. And so we're looking through the bins of fiber at Sonja's. I knew I wanted to get some just because it is such a treasure when you get to know a place and people and the sheep so well, to then have something from that experience. So we looked through the bins, and I wanted to buy a sheep's wool that was there on the property. So she had some of Adelaide's wool. And it's so fun because there was a picture of her on the front, and I met her, and it just makes it really, really fun. After the farm, it was time to see some more of Arizona. So I went to the Goldfield Ghost Town and then took a drive on the scenic highway called the Apache Trail to a town called Tortilla Flat. It's really cool. Check it out. So a big thank you to Sonja for having me out that day, showing us around and telling us about the business and all the good that Woolhalla Tunis is doing for farmers and their sheep in that area of the country. All right, stay tuned. We still have one more day of the Fiber Travel Adventures in Phoenix, Arizona. Happy Fiber Travels, and thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this programming, I invite you to become a supporting member. There are a couple of ways you could help out. You can go to my website, rehashfiber.com, and under supporting members, it takes you to Patreon, where you can give as little as $3 a month. If you sign up to Patreon, you get a little thank you gift of the Rehash Fiber pin, and that's mailed within the United States only. The other way you can help out, also through my website, is check out the merchandise. There is a ton of fun things, from t-shirts, water bottles, coffee mugs, project bags, and more. So your support will go to the fees that it takes to keep this going every month, products and road shows and more. So thank you for any amount of support, and thanks for watching.